Yes. Yeah, and thank you again for having me here. It's my first time, and what you say, the first two times we have talked about communication, the good and the bads. And this one is a little bit of a building up, and also we're going to use some of the tools from the first two workshops, but no worry, if you were not there, I will explain them again. And I'm pretty sure that we also can share the recording from the first two workshop in the chat if you would like to catch up on them. I'm going to share my screen for my presentation, and just for your knowledge, when I am sharing, I can't see you. So I can't see if anybody raised their hands or anything like that. But I do hope you will still following along, and I'm looking forward to our questions afterwards. And just 2 seconds here. And now you should be able to see my presentation. So, who am I? I'm Daisy. I'm a Dane original right now. I'm living in Berlin in Germany. I have built an apartment and a Kleingarten here for those who knows what that is. And I'm also living as a van traveler. In fact, I will from next month be on the road in the UK. I have, previous career, 25 years. I work as a microbiologist in science, but I changed my career around a year ago into a transformative coach. And now I'm working exclusive online and only with private clients. So that's a little bit about me. So we're gonna, in fact, cover two topics today. The art of asking why and the art of compromising, because they can be a little bit connected, and I will go further into that when I change the subject from one to another, why they can be connected and why it's a good thing to also link them together. So we're going to start with why the why matters. And when I talk about the why, I'm talking if you are in a conversation, a relationship, a discussion where it can tend to develop into a conflict. So we are talking about our communication again. So why does the why matter? The first thing that is important here is we are talking about the why of the one you're having the conversation with. Your why also matters, but here we are talking about the why of the one you're having the conversation with, and how to get an understanding of the why while you're having a difficult conversation, because it can solve a conflict if you have ended in a conflict. That you do end in a conflict. So the most important part is when you ask other people about their why, you do build trust. And building trust makes us want to stay in a conversation. So if you don't trust the person you are having the conversation with, you want to get out of the conversation. And if you are already in a conversation that perhaps can be end up in a conflict, then if one of the partners wants to leave the conversation, then there is a greater risk of this will end into a conflict. So the art of asking why is a 5-point. And I do love 5 points list. Those who have seen the other presentations I have made is aware of this. So what we are talking about is how to ask the why, what you have to be aware with yourself when you are asking the why, and during the conversation with the other when they are explaining their why, and also some tips of how to go deeper into the conversation. So the first part is to ask. And there are some things that that is important to keep in mind here. Ask open questions. So what is important to you about this topic? Also, if you are feeling that you are at the point where you are already have escalated to a conflict, or you feel it can escalate to a conflict, or you are taking up a discussion who ended in a conflict, then be careful about where your emotion state are. Because if we ask out of anger or sadness, our asking can be very hard in the way we ask. So why do you never clean up after yourself? That is not a good way of asking the why. And that also leads to another point of when you are asking about people's why or their reason that can also to act or in a certain way or have a certain opinion. Do not use the words like always and never. It is not always. Perhaps you have a feeling that it is always, but it will not be always. Perhaps with another person, the same conversation, other things will happen. So from the one you ask this to, they will not have the feeling of always and never. So that is important to keep in mind. And also with the ask, remember you are asking to understand the other person, to understand your conflict, to understand why you are seeing things differently. So also ask with curiosity. Curiosity will bring you very long. So the next point is when the other person is answering, then we have a little thing inside ourselves. Popular name is the inner voice. I also like it. And that one you need to silence. You need to stop listening to yourself and listen to the other person. One good tip to know if your inner voice is speaking, if you are collecting arguments to what they are saying. So if the other person say, for example, yeah, I 2 days ago did the kitchen, so I do clean. Then you right away are thinking, yeah, you did the kitchen 2 days ago, but you didn't do the rest of the apartment, and you only did it 2 days ago. You didn't do it the 10 times before. Then you have your inner voice talking. So are you during the conversation collecting arguments to use when the other person stops talking? Then your inner voice is running. And the problem with the inner voice is it keeps the focus on the disagreement. You are not listening to the other person. It will, if you in this situation where you ask the why or the reason, are sad, are angry, have other emotions running in your system, it will feed into it. It also is very good in making assumptions. And an assumption is one of the things we want to avoid when we are having a possible conflict or will end our conversation into a conflict. And the thing with the inner voice is also it's good to tell you stories. And what I mean about stories is our brain likes to make connections. So as soon as something a little bit similar to a situation we have been in before, it will add that situation to your current situation. And most of the time, those two are not connected. So it is also a way for you to stay in the current situation, to stop listening to your inner voice. Then we have interruptions. When you are asking people for their reason or the why, as I call it, and I use as the word, even though you feel that what they are saying is not true or you see it differently, do not interrupt. Give them the time and the space to finish what they are sharing with you. As I said in the beginning, asking for the reason or the why is about building trust, and interruption do break that trust. Is also your inner voice quite often speaking. And it can also make other people feel small. And in the way of feeling small, I will not get that much into the model or the pattern right now, but one of the communication models there is, if you can talk from the point of the partner, the point of the parents, and the point of the child. And if we have a good conversation, we are both in the point of the partner. So we are talking to each other like partners. If you interrupt, you will quite fast make the other person feel like the child in the conversation. And that feels like a defensive position to be in. And it also makes the other person less willing to share if they feel like they're putting in the position of a child. And also remember, you did ask for the reason or the why. So take the respect for it, for your partner to listen to what they are telling you. Oh, and just a small thing here. I'm generally speaking out of our our spoken language when I talk about communication. But here with the interruption, it's also, this one is important to also keep your focus on your body language, because you can also interrupt with body language. Just seeing like you are not interested in listening, if your attention is not on the other person, then it will also feel as an interruption, even though you are not speaking. Then there is the point of clarification. When the other person has finished their why or their reason, do ask for clarification. So be sure that you have understand the other person correct. It is very easily when we are talking with people to make assumptions, and we do it all. But just being aware of that you perhaps didn't understand exactly what they meant. So ask for clarification if there's something that is unclear for you. Also, if, for example, I speak two different language native, so we speak English together. And sometimes I also ask for clarification of how he is using words. So what does this word mean to you? Because it can mean something different to me. And that can be depending on the cultural background also. So asking for clarification, that will also build trust between you and the partner you're having the conversation with. And it will also give you a better understanding. So my rules of thumbs are, if after the person have shared the reason or the why and I still don't understand, then I need to ask for clarification before I speak from my point of view in this about this subject we have the conversation about. And I'm also very carefully about words where they can have a double meaning, to be sure that I do understand correct. And the two last one, be careful with. Can you be more specific, or can you give me an example? if you're having a good conversation, so you are not close to a conflict, then they can be very good question to ask for clarification. But if you are where you perhaps will end in a conflict in this conversation, these can be perceived as attacks, even though they're not meant to be. So my advice is be careful with them. And also, if the person say, oh, right now, I can't think of an example right now, then accept that. Because sometimes if we are emotional involved, it can be very hard for us to find the examples. I think I'm guessing, and now I'm making an assumption, but I am guessing that you have all tried to have a conversation or something or a situation where you should give example, and in the moment you couldn't, and then you come home and then you lie in your bed and then you remember 3 examples. So it is what do you say, is this something you have to be careful with to ask for, and also to accept that if the person can't do it, then that is just in this moment they are not capable of doing it. It's not out of they don't want to find them or they don't believe they are there. It's just not possible for them to access the memory of them in the moment. And then we have the point of view. And this is when the other person have told you their why or their reasoning, then answer from your point of view. So say, I understand what you're saying as. So explain how you are hearing what they are saying. Because communication can be difficult. Like I said, there are so many assumptions in it when we do communicate with each other. So they can think they have been totally clear on what they meant, and you have understood it in a total different direction. So just saying that what I understand, that makes it clear that it is your understanding of it. And then the other one can say, no, that was not what I meant. Also, when, for example, be careful about saying, when you say that you make me angry, say it from your point of view with the explanation. So when you say this about me, I get angry because. So always it's okay to have to label your emotions, but always give an explanation of why they are there, because it also makes it easier for the other person to understand why you are acting and feeling and showing emotion in a particular way. And staying what I say own point of view, that also give opportunity for clarification, because of course clarification also goes to your partner. They should also have the option of saying, hey, that's not how I understand it. So it built in a ribbon of clarification for each other, so you are sure that you do understand each other. And it also keeps the conversation on where you disagree instead of who you are as a person, and keeping the focus on where you on the disagreement and not on the person will also help not to build up a conflict. And I chose to put this one in the art of compromising, because if we end where we have a conflict, we will sometimes have to make a compromise. And there are things who can make a compromise easier. And we do all compromise in our life. It can be on small things and it can be on big things. And some of them feels easy to do. It's not a problem at all. But no matter what it is you are compromising on, it means that you didn't get what you wanted in the moment. So for me, the art of compromising is to shift your focus on not what didn't I get. So what did I gain from the compromise? Because you did make the compromise for a reason. So when you are feeling that you need to make a compromise, then ask yourself, why did you choose to compromise? What were the circumstances? What did it give you? And what does it give you still? So shifting your focus from, oh, I didn't get it my way, to, hey, I gain something with this compromise, and you will always have gained something. There can, of course, be that you didn't didn't like what you gained with the compromise, and then I will say, then it's time to open the conversation again, because the compromise should be that you do make the compromise and is happy with what you are gaining. But keeping the focus on your gain also make sure that you don't see what you are losing, and that will give a feeling of not satisfaction with the compromise. And I can see again, I tend to talk way too fast. It is one of the things I am working on, but I'm very happy to have both a discussion and a conversation, or answer any questions regarding these subjects.